Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Jeff Pestridge. Welcome to another P3D video, and version 6 is out now. It is released, and there are 3 different versions: the personal license, the professional license, and the professional plus license. In this video, I'm going to take you through the installation. It is the same for all 3 versions, so it doesn't matter which one you have. I'll be using the Professional Plus version. There's 3 sort of phases to this video as well. There's a pre-installation phase, there's the installation phase, and a post-installation phase in order for you to install it seamlessly with no problems. Now, there are a couple of things different in the installation and the sort of download. So first thing you'll need to do is go to your account and log in. Now I'm going to use my version 5 account here. Basically, you want to download the full download and the SDK client. And when you download it, it will have a zip file needed to unpackage it. And when you finally unzip both the SDK and the Professional Plus, or when you finally unzip both the SDK and your version 6 download, you should have something similar like this. Now, first things first, when you install any software, you want to make sure that you're installing it onto a good working copy of Windows and there's not going to be any errors. So there's 2 things I recommend doing first. Going to your search bar and type cmd and run as an admin a command prompt and type in sfc / whatever it is, scan now as one word, and let your computer do a scan on your Windows operating system. This will verify the system files and make sure that there are no corruptions or errors. It should take only 3 minutes to complete if your CPU is fast enough for P3D. If your scan takes longer than 3 minutes, then your CPU may not be up to the task of running P3D. So this is kind of a 2 sort of thing check. If it completes it with under 3 minutes, or if it completes it in the amount of time you usually run this on, then you know your CPU is fine. But if it's suddenly one day taking a lot longer to do, maybe there's a few extra processes running that are taking the CPU calculations away from this. Maybe your CPU just isn't good enough. Maybe your cooling might need to be increased. Maybe your CPU is overheating. Maybe there's just a multitude of things that is a reason why this is suddenly taking longer than 3 minutes when in the past it hasn't. And if you're doing this for the first time, if you're new to P3D, I really recommend you doing this just to verify that your operating system is intact and there is no problems. I also recommend, updating to the latest version of Windows, and I don't recommend updating to the latest drivers, in all honesty. That's not really how P3D works. So P3D has been launched now here, and this was probably created with the most recent drivers, in all honesty. So yes, I would recommend downloading the most recent driver for your graphics card. But going forward in the future, when they bring out a patch, it's only about every 5 to 7 months that they sort of create a patch or an update for this. So usually I would say don't update your graphics card until there is a download of a new version. So when we go into 6.1, let's just say it's December when that happens. Remember, that was tested sort of back in maybe October or November. So use a driver from that time and you'll know it will be compatible with that version of P3D. That is my sort of recommendation, and we haven't had any integrated violations here, so my operating system is fine. One thing I recommend doing as well is searching disk cleanup and running that as administrator and concentrating on the C drive and let it calculate how much space is going to be needed. And if you know where the location of this is, which I've made a shortcut on my desktop here, it's in app data local NVIDIA DX cache. I've already kind of run it as well. Make sure you untick everything but the DirectX shader cache. As you can see, I've already run this, so I'm not going to run it again. It cleans it out basically. This could have errored files in. These get corrupt so easily with your GPU. I recommend deleting this prior to either 1, any installation of any software, but 2, any change within your scenery library. So when you install a new airport, run this afterwards, okay? Make sure you clear that. Let's delete that. I've created a shortcut on my desktop, so all I'd have to do is highlight Control A and then delete. Now, when you go to delete some of these, it'll say, sorry, you can't actually delete all these, so skip that, and then it will delete the ones it can delete. Now, you should be left with a few files, and that's normal. So do that, and in the future as well, create a shaders in the local app data location for P3D, and once you run in an airport installation or you change your scenery library, just go ahead and delete all those files in there as well, and that will also help you getting corrupted errors in your sim. Right, so now that's the pre-installation. We've checked Windows. My GPU is working sound. In fact, if you want to also double check against making sure things are working correctly, you can go into Task Manager and bring up your performance of everything, and you can just sort of check to make sure everything is running as normal, which it is. So first things first is we're going to install the SDK, double click it, and then click next and let it run through its thing. Click next. I would say go with the location where it wants to go and install it there. Don't change it to another drive. I really recommend it being installed on your C drive, but this needs to be installed where your sim is. So if you got it on another drive, then just redirect it to that new drive. And you can install P3D on any drive you want, but I really do recommend that you run it on the C drive, because you'll have less errors basically. Once you've installed your SDK, it's now time for your simulator. Head into the folder, all the files are there, and just literally right click and run as admin, and you will have that come up. You can again change the location if you wish, which I don't, and I'm going to click that and just let it run through its setup. Now it's going to take a few minutes, it's going to take a while. We'll come back when it's finished, but you're not finished installing it just because you've run it. It will also ask you, when you do finish it, to activate your license, and you just type in your license details that you were emailed when you purchased your license. Now, one of the important things to note when downloading your zip files from your account is it is really crucial that you download it in a timely manner. Now, some people will say, oh, you need to check the MDK some files to make sure you've downloaded it all without error, but in all honesty, I've always downloaded through Google, and as long as you don't have any server failed or network error pop-ups that come when you're downloading it, with a good connection, it should only take about 30 minutes to an hour to download. If it takes longer than an hour, then there are more problems that can happen within that time to where you could corrupt your download. And if you're using WinZip, when you extract it, it will tell you if it's errored through the extraction process. So you don't need to check anything against anything. Just download through Google and check it against its like WinZip. Just extract here, and it will automatically check for errors, and you will know that you have a proper copy downloaded from your hard drive. And once you've installed it, once it's finished its setup, just take those zip files and place them somewhere else, just in case you need to reinstall, because it'll just save you downloading again. And the more times you download from your accounts, the more times or the more variable chances of an error occurring if your internet seems to drop at a moment when you just happen to be downloading. So to sort of avoid that, just save those zip files on another drive somewhere as a storage, and then you can return to them if you do need to uninstall and reinstall for some reason. Now, the whole process is going to take about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on your speed of your PC CPU. If that scan now did complete within 3 minutes. It'll take about 45 minutes, so just stay with it. It hasn't stalled, it hasn't died, it will complete. And when the setup is successful, you've now finished the installation phase of the sim, but now we need to go and do the rest of it. So first off, I implore you to run the sim and load up into the actual sim itself. Don't add any add-ons if you've got them in your folder already. Don't enable them. Just load up the sim. The sim now needs to finish building its sim within the folder. So right now it's installed in, but it's not complete yet. It's still got other files and folders needing to install in. So what we're going to do is we're just going to load up into the sim and finish off that installation. So first off, make sure you're running the default profile. You can go into the application and sort of, you know, enable some of these here. It makes no difference. Same with information. You can sort of untick what you want, but in terms of display, world and lighting, just leave those as they are, and don't change anything there, because they will well, you want it to roll as default, to be honest. You definitely want it to roll as default. But I would say sound, choose your primary sounds as well. Don't worry too much about the levels. And the rest of this can be done later. So just click OK and in we go. And the next video, I'm going to basically go through the menu step by step, and I'm also going to do another video where I show the default airplane and the default airport, and in another video we're going to go to Birmingham Airport and compare it with V5 and see what's changed. And in a different video we'll talk about all the new features and possibilities with add-ons, and we'll also do a default flight in a separate video, and then finally do a test with scenery and add-ons. Now, once you're in the sim, Control and Z just to sort of note what frame rate you're getting and the VRAM you're using, and also bring up your stats on your performance here, and just note them as well. Whenever you click off the screen, the default will always pause like this, okay? So just note that as well. That's not a glitch, okay? But once you've loaded up, that's it. You can shut it down now. That's the sim built. So we can exit out of that. And what we want to do is go into the Lockheed Martin 6 folder. And this is now the next stage. This is kind of like the wrap-up phase. Go into the redest file, all right? The redistributables interface, and you click on these sim connects. Now what I'm doing here, these are legacy sim connects. If you've got older add-ons that require an older sim connect, don't do the Japan or the Russian one. But if you've got these and they require older sim connects, Lockheed Martin have kindly, you know, put these in, so your add-ons will be compatible. So we can do that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to restart the sim now, and this time we're actually going to activate those add-ons that I'd put in. So it will say to me, would you like to activate these add-ons? And this time I'm going to say yes, because I already had add-ons in the folders. So we're going to now add these in as well. Click OK. And then we have to restart the sim. The new indexes will be built, and if we go into the scenery library, everything is here as it should be. That is what you should look like. Now I tend to untick bathymetry because at the end of the day I don't use the underwater world. There is actually an underwater, all the underneath the waves are mapped, and bathymetry is basically mesh for under the water. So as a pilot, that means nothing to me. I'm not doing submarine training, so all that information that is loading as part of that, I don't want. So I've unticked it. I'm going to click OK. It's going to redo the indexes, and what we're going to do is we're going to shut it down. And what I tend to do is any changes I make in the scenery library, I go into my scenery indexes folder, and we want to go to version 6, and basically you want to delete all these, and then on the next time you run the sim, they will be rebuilt. I advise also, if you change the scenery library, I also advise you deleting the shader, all these extra shaders. Okay, anytime you install an airport, add an add-on to the scenery library, come in here. These are temporary files that are built on every load up, and just delete these because these can cause problems as well. But that's basically it now. You're now good to go. You've actually run your sim, and we are done. That is basically everything. I always say, once you've loaded up your sim fully, once you've gone through all these steps now, you're fully, there. One thing to note, I always say, is run a flight as well. If you go and run a normal, just as like a Cessna flight, you can check the performance. We're going to do that in a separate video. But in the control panel for uninstalling, there is something very important you need to know. The way that the version 6 is installed is only in these two packages now. Okay, no longer is the content, the scenery, and the client. You still can repair, so you can still run a repair basically if you need to, which we won't do because we're running the sim. But the installation now only comes in the form of 2 updatable files instead of like 4. So one's 111 gig, one's 176 gig. So you're going to need at least 100 and like say 200 gig worth of space on your C drive to install version 6. The actual downloadable is only 35 gig and it extracts to I think about a 50 gig file, but the actual installation itself is about 200 gig, and that is because the increase in size of textures. And in the options menu for information, I put over here, you can actually untick or tick this check for updates on startup. So if there is a small patch and you have this box ticked, when you start your sim, it will ask you, do you wish to run this update? You can say yes, no, or you can just cancel it, which will be the same as unticking this tick box here, and it won't even bother checking at the beginning. These updates could be small, could just be a couple of files, could be a major patch, could even be a version change. Lockheed Martin will let you know within this update system if you actually need to reinstall, like uninstall everything and reinstall it again. Anytime you uninstall version of P3D from I think it was version 5 onwards, it doesn't actually uninstall anything that it didn't install. So if you've got add-ons in these folders, it won't uninstall those files. It will leave those behind when you completely uninstall it. And there is a process if you need to completely uninstall and reinstall, which I'll show you in the next video as well. But thank you so much for watching this. That's pretty much it. I'm going to shoot off now. Don't forget, I run a competition every single month. 50 euros of Sim Market vouchers are up for grabs. I go live with a vlog at the end of each month, and if you want to be in with a chance of winning 50 euros of Sim Market vouchers for any Flight Sim add-on, all you have to be is a subscriber to my channel and put a comment down in any one of my P3D videos, and when I go live, I'll announce that winner each month. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.